Welcome back to the Diver Guide channel. Today we're going to go over reverse 1.5 tuck or a 303C. In order to get to the higher level dives like reverse 2.5 and even reverse 3.5, you have to master some of the basic stuff that we're going to go over in this video. Before that, if you need to work on your hurdle or want a deeper understanding of the forward approach, check out my front hurdle video. And if you're struggling with getting your arms fast enough to the point where you can really get a good clean takeoff for the 1.5, you should watch my reverse dive pike video because there's some really nice basic hurdle stuff that will really help your takeoffs for all of your reverses right there. That will make understanding this video a lot easier. Both of those links are going to be in the description, so don't worry about finding them. If you want personal advice on any of your dives, check out the link in the description. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, tell all your friends about me because I'm trying to grow this channel. Alrighty, so the main points we're going to discuss in this video are head position on the takeoff, the relaxed arms that we go over in the reverse dive pike video, but you'll really see it and how it works on the 1.5 here, and finding your sweet spot between your balance on the end of the board and riding it to the perfect release point. Of course, I'm going to throw in a couple extra tips, sprinkle them in there for you so you can try some new things at practice. Alright, let's get started right here with our first diver and our first lesson in riding the board. These first 3 divers are really going to show us some of the mistakes that we can make, and then I'm going to have some more expert divers at the end to really show what a perfect board ride and head position looks like. So if you look at this guy as he's walking down the board, the hurdle looks okay. He gets right to the end of the board. As he gets to the bottom of the press, you can see his hips really push out a little bit too far, going past his knees very far, putting him in a very extended position, which makes his knees break, and it takes a long time for him to get up into his tuck. He does a pretty good job getting his arms all the way up to the top, but you can just see that he leans back with the shoulders and it lets those knees go forward really far. And that's going to be our first big lesson about finding the right body position on the takeoff. Check out how this guy is pretty straight up and down on his takeoff. You're going to have a slight C position, of course, because you have to get this rotating, but you can tell he's not really losing his core. He's staying strong and stable through that entire takeoff, which allows him to explode up into the air really high as he looks into the tuck. Look at where he's connecting into the tuck with his knees up in front and he's looking down towards his legs, compared to this first guy that we were talking about, where he doesn't connect into his tuck until he's already all the way up there. And the other big thing is, look how open his tuck is. Because of this start being so archy and the knees going forward on the takeoff, it makes it a lot harder to connect into a deeper tuck, which is going to make you spin faster. So think about how the patients on the start really connect into a tighter tuck and therefore a faster speed. Not to mention, you're going to be jumping higher if you stay on the board more too. The second person does something similar with his lower body, but does something different with his upper body. Take a look at how his knees go forward because he's leaving the board early, but his upper body is a lot better staying upright and not quite losing his core as much. That's a good step in the right direction. Now, I would imagine that basically every single diver is going to have this problem at some point where they're sliding out early and not staying on the board long enough. This is a really tricky thing because I know what it feels like to push out early but not feel like you can stay on the board anymore because you don't want to lean back on the board too much because you don't want to be close, obviously. And it feels very unsafe and unnatural to stay on the board with straighter legs and really wait longer. But you got to trust yourself and you got to believe that you can do it because that is the right thing to do. The way to fix this is slow incremental steps. You're going to slowly stay on your heels a little bit longer as you land on the board, and you're going to try and sit back like you're about to sit into a chair. That's going to allow you to keep your weight back a little bit longer so your center of gravity isn't moving out in this direction. It'll actually start moving up in this direction. You'll slowly get the hang of that, and it will become more and more comfortable as you test yourself and practice this. This is not an easy fix, so give yourself some time on this one. So take a look at this next diver because she has something a little bit different. She doesn't quite get the arms through as well as the first 2 people. So you can see her arms are at about 10 o'clock compared to her body, which is going to engage the shoulders, and it makes her connection a little bit slow. Look at this. She doesn't get her legs until right about there. She's already pretty far upside down, leading to a big tuck like we were talking about before. Paired with the knees bending early will make her jump lower and lead to the big tuck, poor spotting, and loose finish like we see. So now let's go over the cues that we were talking about at the beginning about how to make this dive the best. So check this out. As you step out of your hurdle and you're landing on the end of the board, you can engage your core and keep your hips hollow so that when you land, you aren't going to break there, leading to early knees. If you haven't checked out the 301B video that I made, it'll really go over how to do the arm circle properly to let the arms swing straight up to the top without much effort so that they can get to this position where your arms are slightly behind your head. You can bend them if you have to. You don't have to do that, but really the goal is to get this full extension right there. When you have that full extension, you're getting all of the board pushing you up and you don't have to work as hard for this dive. So I had mentioned before, head position. Take a look at how his head or how his eyes are gazing out forward in front of him. His head isn't tilting back and he's holding his core very strong, allowing his knees to come up in front. This is the big unlock. When you go through your knees early, your knees have to go all the way around before they get back up to your hands. If you're patient and you have that full stack tight core as you come down onto the board, what you can do is bring your knees up right in front and connect way earlier and way tighter. This is so important. The faster you can get this connection is the moment you can do reverse 2.5 and reverse 3.5. That patience and then the slam is really what unlocks this dive and future dives for you. Now, this guy also does a masterclass in spotting reverses there, which I will come out with a spotting backs and reverses video, but a little sneak peek. The more his head position is down on the start, the better, because then he can look up, spot the water, and kick. And he's so high up that he can make any adjustment that he needs in order to nail this, and he totally does. All right, next up, we're going to go over this video of a pro diver getting really good height off the board, which I'm really just showing this to you so that you can get a sense of how long you have to wait before you can go up into the tuck. Take your time, but then once you leave the board, you can explode and you can get up into that tuck really quick. Now, obviously, he comes out of the dive really quickly because of how high he is. There isn't really too many people in the world that can jump this high, so I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. Just really think about the patience that he has on this dive, waiting for the board to come up to right about even before he brings up his legs, and take a look at how his knees come up in front. They don't lag behind and then go all the way around. They come up in front really quick. His arms come around to meet the legs and he grabs really tight in on the shins, and look how tight that ball is. And eventually that will allow you to do dives like reverse 3.5. where everything that we just talked about just becomes faster. And obviously you have to work on the spotting and all the stuff that goes with it, but it's all the same on the takeoff. Look, he's got a really good stacked body on the takeoff. His shoulders go back a little bit to get this moving a little bit more, but his knees are extended into a C position. And when the board is just about even, he starts lifting the knees up in front, looks into the tuck, waits for his legs to come up. And once he connects, spot, 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 kick. He had to pull a little bit on that entry to make it all the way around. The big takeaways is that as you get better at diving, you'll see that people are more patient on the board and they let the board do more of the work. The more you can figure that out and mess around with that, the better. Another thing that you'll notice is that the best divers let their legs come up to them. They don't go down for their legs. They don't move their arms down to get to their legs. The legs come up to their head. That's how they connect up into a tuck. They don't really break at the knees as much. They really let the hips slide forward slightly before bringing up the knees, and they find that sweet spot. This dive will come and go. It's like a pendulum. You're going to kind of oscillate between moving a little bit too far out, then you're going to come back and find your sweet spot. Then it might start to come in a little bit too tight and you have to back it out. And all of that is a give and take on this dive. This dive especially, because no other category is really like reverses, and there's always going to be a constant ebb and flow to the way that you're doing this dive. So no matter what, keep having fun out there. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I'm trying to grow this channel. So if you have friends that need to learn how to dive a little bit better, or they're dive nerds just like you and me, let them know, because the main goal is to help you guys get better. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.